we've seen a string of massive victories here from Donald Trump. First, New York last week, and then earlier this week, he won 5 primaries very, very decisively, over 50% in all 5. I think over 60 in a couple of them, in Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. What is the Donald Trump campaign doing right after a really bad month with Wisconsin, Colorado, and all the other stuff that was going on all around the country with these delegate wins that the Cruz campaign was doing?
Well, first of all, I find it interesting that any place where the people decide, Donald Trump does great. In fact, he racks up huge numbers. Any place the bosses decide and the Republican establishment decides, Ted Cruz is able to nibble delegates here and nibble delegates there. Mm-hmm. I think, for example, Trump is going to win Indiana, but the Indiana delegate process has already begun. And at this point, Donald Trump has exactly 1 delegate, which means the Republican bosses in Indiana intend to thwart the will of the voters, regardless of how they vote in the upcoming primary. So the primary becomes important symbolically to demonstrate that the democratic process is being thwarted, and that the votes of the people don't really matter. I do think the Trump campaign is back on a solid technological track. For the first time, they are using targeted television, targeted radio. Trump has continues to be extremely effective in his campaigning to dominate the free media. But I think you can see the professionalization of the Trump campaign, which heretofore was a natural force. I mean, Trump won this huge string of primaries.
It's almost like they were winging it.
Well, it was all built around an incredible model, a communications-based model where Trump himself generated so much media coverage that it actually was able to compete with, if not cancel out, the massive negative spending that was being, launched against him.
Mm-hmm. And so now one of the other things that's really interesting, and I wanted to get you to comment on this, and we'll get back to Trump in a second, is that we've come out with a series of data analyses at Breitbart here over the past week or so. And the latest one is out this morning. It's already the lead on Drudge, walking through how Republican primary votes are up 8.7 million in 2016 versus 2012. On the Democrat side, they are down 4.5 million. Between 2016 and 2008, the last time they had a primary, because obviously they had an incumbent president in 2012. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump has received more than 2 million more votes than Mitt Romney in the states that have already voted, which is an incredible total in Mitt Romney's totals in 2012. And now the latest one this morning is that Hillary Clinton is down hundreds of thousands of votes against Hillary Clinton in 2008. Hillary Clinton's 2016 total is down about 270,000 underneath where she was in 2008. And that was actually a real race between Barack Obama, who beat her, and John Edwards. And this time she's facing, a loony socialist in Bernie Sanders. What do you think that all this data shows heading into a general election for Republicans, and especially Mr. Trump, assuming he gets there?
Well, I think we have to assume that these incredible increases on the Republican side are due to the energy and the enthusiasm that Trump is bringing to this race. Otherwise, the race would have been a boring confrontation of a bunch of career politicians who have identical positions on every issue. There's only one nationalist in this race. There's only one candidate who believes in American sovereignty. Donald Trump is in a field of globalists, including Ted Cruz, the ultimate globalist, the Goldman Sachs candidate. So I think the energy is with the Republicans, and frankly, Democrats are resigned to Hillary's nomination. Most of the professional Democrats I know who are for Hillary are for her because they feel they have to be. They're for her because the Clintons are notoriously vindictive and they keep track. Mm-hmm. So on the possibility that she may become president, many Democrats are for her. But there's no enthusiasm. There's no energy. She is a woman going through the motions. Why she needs to shout every place she's shouting? No, I don't think she's shouting just because she's a woman and I'm a man. She's actually shouting.
Now, Roger, on the Republican side, we just saw Senator Cruz come out and announce Carly Fiorina as his running mate before he even has the nomination, and it's looking really more and more like he ain't going to get there. What do you think about the decision to do that? I mean, was that like Reagan-esque, like when Reagan announced Schweiker, or is this that's kind of like how Cruz is presenting it? Is that it's like a Reagan-like move?
I respect the fact that Cruz recognizes that in politics it's always better to do something than to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the end of the rope. He's not going to be nominated. It's almost mathematically impossible. So he's throwing a Hail Mary pass. It's an attempt to throw the cards back up in the air and see if they land differently. I give him credit for doing something. On the other hand, Carly Fiorina, let me sum this up. Layoffs plus outsourcing plus violation of the Iran sanctions plus the golden parachute. So while she was firing people, she and her husband were enjoying the millions of dollars in her golden parachute. She's Mitt Romney in heels. She's part of the 1%. She was John McCain's chief domestic issue advisor. She's an establishment Republican. She got no votes when she ran for president. And I would make the case, Matt, that since the Democrats used all those issues, her outsourcing, her layoffs, her golden parachute, in the U.S. Senate race, it's widely known to California voters. She's actually a detriment in California, where she's not well liked thanks to her ignominious defeat in the Senate race when the Democrats raised all these issues. So I give him credit for trying something over nothing. On the other hand, she's the wrong running mate, and I can't see any block of delegates that she brings him. All she really brings him is another surrogate, another talking head making his case. I don't see.
I think it's more interesting who he didn't pick, right? Like, I mean, where's Senator Rubio? I think he would be probably one of the more logical choices. I mean, delegate-wise, I mean, he would add 170 delegates to the.
Well, there was an admission yesterday by Senator Trent Lott, former Senator Trent Lott, that tried to put that together, that he worked very hard to try to make a Cruz-Rubio marriage, and Rubio wasn't interested. First of all, let's be very clear. Ted has to clear everything he does with Jeb and Neil Bush, his real masters, his puppet masters. He's got to clear everything with Paul Singer. He's got to clear everything with Mitt Romney. He's got to clear everything with the people whose globalist views he shares. Ted's not a conservative. He's not a constitutionalist. He's a globalist. He's got a great act. I mean, he sounds good. He sounds great. In fact, I was attracted to him originally based on the things he was saying. That was until I dug into his origins as a Bush family retainer and his role as George W. Bush's chief issue advisor the year he ran for president, about the first half year of his presidency. So, I think he probably had limits on where he could go. The establishment types would only allow him to take another establishment running mate. And of course, Carly does meet that criteria.
Right. So now moving forward here, again, you mentioned a little while ago that there's professionalism really starting to settle in at the Trump campaign. Obviously, he's brought in Paul Manafort, and he seems to really have taken control of a lot of the levers of the operation there in terms of, strategic decisions that are being made. And he's obviously your former partner at Manafort, Stone, Black. I don't know if I'm saying that in the right order.
Black, Manafort, and Stone.
Black, Manafort, and Stone. Sorry. And then also we've seen the hirings of people like Doug Davenport, like Rick Wiley. These are longtime Washington professional guys. Can you explain for us what is this kind of the stuff that these guys are doing inside the Trump campaign? What are they doing differently than what had been done before? Why is it that, that their actions are leading to these massive successes?
Look, I think that prior to the candidate deciding that he wanted to make changes to deal with the new phase of the campaign he was in, where the premium is on experience and knowledge of the rules and convention maneuvering, Trump's campaign prior to this was a force of nature based around his appeal and his public communications. So the campaign did a good job of supporting the Trump tour and his going into the individual primary states for these massive impact rallies, which got wall-to-wall cable and network coverage. It was innovative. It was really incredible. It's historic, in fact, that without polling, without structure, without analytics, without targeting, without television commercials, without radio commercials to speak of, that the campaign has run up this long string of victories. Now it's become necessary for the campaign to retool. Look, I was working for Ronald Reagan and hired by John Sears, Reagan's campaign manager, who I had a great allegiance to and a great reverence for. Mm-hmm. When Reagan fired Sears and hired Casey, who I didn't particularly love, I recognized that as a professional, I worked for Ronald Reagan, not Bill Casey, not John Sears, but for Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I put my head down, I put my shoulder to the wheel, and I did my job. Mm-hmm. Frankly, I think the Trump campaign is disserved by these leaks about who's in charge, who has that checkbook, who has Trump's ear, who's running things. That only hurts the candidate. Frankly, Donald Trump makes the decisions in Donald Trump's campaign. I worked for him on and off for 40 years. He is in charge of his own fate. Nobody handles Trump. Nobody scripts Trump. Nobody programs Trump. He's a free spirit. He's going to say what he wants to say. And so far, the voters have found that enormously refreshing. So I would like to see the campaign stop leaking detrimental information against other campaign members and focus on beating Ted Cruz, wrapping up this nomination, and taking on Hillary Clinton.
And so, I would agree with you that one of the things that's most interesting and exciting about Trump is that Trump's in charge of the campaign. You want to know who the campaign manager is, so to speak, regardless of anybody's title, it's Donald Trump.
He's certainly the strategist. That is absolutely clear. And now he actually has competent assistants to implement his strategy, and that's very good news. I just think self-serving leaks don't help anybody. This is not about Paul Manafort or Roger Stone or Louis Korendowski or anybody. It's about Donald Trump being the only candidate who can make America great again.
All right. Well, Roger Stone, anything else you want to add here about Hillary Clinton and her really failing numbers out there that we keep seeing?
Look, she's in trouble. She's already started trying to attack Trump, thinking that she can get by without answering the questions regarding her classic and well-documented abuse of Bill's sexual assault victims. That's just naive. Now, I spoke to an Iowa reporter yesterday who said she asked her point blank in the newsroom of her newspaper that if these college women who Hillary said deserve to be believed on the question of sexual assault, why shouldn't Juanita Broderick or Kathy Willey or Paula Jones or Christy Zurcher or Sandra Allen James, or all of the women who credibly claim they've been assaulted by Bill, why shouldn't they be believed? Hillary's response was to stomp her foot and stalk out of the bureau. She's going to answer this question. She's going to have to answer this question. Trump will put it to her directly. Those women will put it to her directly. The idea that she can just not answer this because it's beneath her it's just not going to work. Let's get to the bottom line. She's an accessory after the fact in her husband's string of sexual assaults. Bill has violated them physically, but she's violated these women psychologically, intimidating them, bullying them, trying to pressure them out of testifying or out of going public. And she's going to have to answer for that. The idea that she can just avoid it because she doesn't feel like it or because she knows it's detrimental is not going to work.
All right. Well, Roger Stone, thank you for taking the time here to join us on Breitbart News Saturday.
Great to be